Well, Anna, thank you so much for helping my project.
Of course, of course.
Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Um, my name is Anna. I am 19 years old. I had to think for a moment how old I was. I grew up in Russia and moved here 2 and something years ago. Yeah. I guess that's as much as I'm gonna do for now.
Were you born in Russia?
I was. I lived there until I was like 13 or so. Then we started moving around with my family and lived in Azerbaijan and then Scotland, and then we came here. So.
How do you have no accent?
I think I do have an accent. I'm not sure.
Wow.
It's very small.
Is it?
There's like, hey, you told me you're from Tomball. I would say, yeah,
Really?
sure.
I think.
I actually, if people asked where we're from,
Yeah.
and I said I'm from Houston,
Yeah.
and you said you're from Houston, they would believe you more than me.
Honestly, yes, because when I just walked in here, I was like, where is he from? Because I couldn't tell whether you maybe talked to somebody when you were growing up that had a different accent or something.
No, it's
Where
always
is
the
it?
odd one.
You were just the odd one.
Just the odd one.
Just talk like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
afraid so. I've been trying to practice my Texan just so I could blend
Texan.
in.
Oh my god. I want to hear your Texan accent.
This is as good as it's gotten so far. It's pretty bad.
You're getting there. Y'all.
Y'all.
I picked it up.
Over the top, you know. It's like then they're
Yes.
like really think you're kidding.
Yes, I picked it up. I started saying like y'all, and I started like line dancing a little bit. I'm
Okay.
like, the Texas is getting under my skin. So,
What do you like to do?
too many things to count. Pretty much anything. I'm a very easygoing person. So like, oh wow, my accent just came through. I'm a really easygoing person. So pretty much anything that you say, I'll at least try it, and then
Do you cross stitch?
do I cross stitch? I don't, but I actually used to when I was younger.
Me too.
I was like blade stitching. Is that what you call it? in
No,
English?
where you like have like the grid and you put them in little X's.
Yeah,
And make...
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But like you can also do like the lined ones, and then it's more like very smooth at the top. I don't know how to explain it properly.
Yeah, I hadn't
I
done
don't.
that.
What about like crocheting,
I've never done crocheting.
No.
I've been
knitting?
No.
I'm just.
Just don't. The cross stitching is something that somebody with no artistic talent can actually. It's just a matter of tedium.
Yeah. Same as
Following.
like puzzles maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's less frustrating than puzzles because like your progress is predictable. Whereas
Yeah.
with the puzzle, you could be like looking for hours for one piece. And
Have you seen like those 3D puzzles when you
I
actually
have
put the whole
like with like a heart and an apple and
Yeah, I don't know how people even do that. Maybe we just should try that
Yeah.
sometime. Well, I'm trying to think of like the oddest thing that I've done. I don't know. I used to do rock climbing, ice skating. I still do sometimes. Art, a lot of art, but again, all over the place. It's really hard for me to like commit to one thing because I keep getting like new ideas, and I keep want to try to develop something, and then I just stop, and it's like I didn't get that far, but it was fun. It was fun along the way. So.
So if you look at where humanity is now,
Oh
and
God,
you
here we
look
go.
back like 500 years, you have Christopher Columbus sailing from Europe to the Caribbean, I guess. And since then, so much has happened, right? I mean,
Right.
we've had a big migration from Europe to the Americas. We had the Industrial Revolution. We learned how to fly.
Pretty much all of modern history. Just
Everything.
Everything
I mean,
that happened.
medicine. I'm really attractive to flies, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, yeah. Pretty sweet.
But if you look out 500 years, where do you think we get?
Oh God, this is the kind of questions that I asked you. Like, what should I be prepared for? Because
Oh.
now I'm gonna spend like a bunch of time thinking.
Well, thinking is good.
Well, let's see. So 500 years from now, that is what?
Uh,
20.
I guess 25, 21.
Right. 25, 21. I don't do math. So 25, 21. I'm trying to think. Automatically, I think of like Doctor Who. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yes, I used to be a big Tom Baker fan, like the.
Yes. I don't know. I prefer Matt Smith, to be honest. But
Okay.
It's a personal thing, but I just kind of think of there was this one episode when I think it was with Rose, and they ended up on some space station, whatever. But what I really felt was really realistic is how there were so many races and they were just all mixed up. And I know that like a lot of science fiction will go that route and say, um, there's so many different, not just races but species from different planets as well, and we're just all coexisting together. I would like to think that that's at least where we're going, because right now it just seems like there's division wherever you look, and hopefully by that time we will manage to overcome some of it. But then also, what you're saying, looking back 500 years, you would think by now we would have overcome it, but we haven't.
Yeah.
So maybe it will go the other way around, and instead we will just have separation of on the smallest levels possible. Maybe we'll have 2,000 nations within US. Who knows? Just because, I don't know, if you look at like a political situation right now, it just seems like everyone's going to the opposite sides of the spectrum, and there's less and less in the middle. And it makes sense, like politics in general will like swing back and forth, obviously, but then it's like every step that we take towards unity would take three back in this country, or at least what it seems like sometimes. So I don't know. I feel like it could go either all the way in or all the way out with unification in general. So I don't know. Technology wise, I don't know what else you want.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about. I mean, a woman can have any profession that men can.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of interesting. Queen Isabella is the one that sent Christopher Columbus over. I mean, how is that not breaking the glass ceiling?
Right.
Like the ultimate
the
head
ultimate
of the country.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, you didn't really have like, women weren't like in common professions.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's interesting to see how women didn't have power in most spheres as we would think, but then in other spheres they obviously did. Like for example, if you look at like the smaller like family unit, obviously women would have a lot more power in the sense of just making basic decisions, even though yes, they really like you.
I know. I don't know what it is. I guess it was the Happy Family ate a little while ago. It's like
maybe but yeah, maybe they would say, oh, this is the men in the house, but in reality a woman would be making so many more decisions than a man would. But if you look at like a scale of a country, then I guess it would go down a little bit. Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like nowadays we like to say that there is a lot of equality, and there is a lot in the United States, but then I'm sorry, I'm gonna say Americans tend to forget that other countries still exist. Americans tend to forget, I'm gonna say Westerners actually in general, tend to forget how far we've come in this country and in Europe as well. And when we say, oh, we still need feminism, or we still need fight for women's rights, they think, oh, look what we already have. We don't need to do that. Well, maybe we don't mean right here. Maybe we mean some little girl in the Middle East that doesn't get education.
Or Pakistan. I mean, just
anywhere.
A week or two ago, a girls' school was bombed.
You'd be surprised. I mean, I don't think you would be surprised because you actually seem like a very informed person. But even when I lived in Azerbaijan, so it is pretty much where Persia used to be, right by the Caspian Sea, and it is a very progressive country, like Muslim, but not like too Muslim, but modern, not too modern, somewhere in the middle. It's funny because even the architecture would also be like really modern versus like very old. I'm going all over the place, but point is, even there, in such a modern and developed country, they would still be thinking, oh well, girls don't really need to go past, I don't know, high school. They're gonna get married anyways. And to see that right after I moved to Scotland, and to see that contrast with, hey, we want to make sure every single child goes on to some kind of higher qualification, and we're actually going to pay for it as a government. That was just such a crazy contrast, and I feel like a lot of people just forget that not everyone has this. Not everyone has this quality.
And that's the way it is in Scotland, you're saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I mean, It is harder for international students, but there's this thing that if you live in Scotland for something like 3 years, I think, you actually qualify for the same prices for college, let's say, as a person that was born there would. And just comparing the costs in general, like, it's heaven and earth. In the United States, you can pay $50,000-$60,000 per year for college. That is unheard of. That's unheard of in UK.
Yeah.
They try to make sure that everyone gets to college, and I hope that's where this country is going as well.
And apparently, university is free in Germany.
Yes, a lot of I think almost all universities are, even for international students, because I was looking at it, and you can get a lot of programs that would be in English actually, and you can apply, and even as international students, you don't have to pay for it at all. And that was like mind blowing to me after US, but then I was like, oh wait, that's what pretty much most developed countries do. And then you look at US and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm really talking, not like shit talking, but I try to stay focused on not just the positives of everything that I'm getting, because I am very thankful that I'm here. You know, I get incredible opportunities that I wouldn't get in Russia or maybe even in the UK. But on the other hand, I try to stay like critical and see everything that needs to be still fixed, because
Like healthcare.
like healthcare, education, military, gun control, name anything. Literally, I don't think there could ever be a perfect country, obviously, because we still live in the human world and we still have that human factor. But the fact that there's always, what do you call that in English? Space for improvement. I just hope people don't forget that there is always space for improvement, and like you can be still patriotic and still see those things that needs to be worked on for your people, for your country, and that's why you have to kind of stay critical like that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a bit of pride about one's own culture, and then sometimes that makes you blind to the opportunities that
It
are
does.
just around you.
It does, and I saw that a lot in Russia too, especially with the older generation, people that still grew up and lived most of their life in USSR. And I know that it gets harder as you get older to accept new things and to even learn new things, but a lot of the time they would just refuse to see any flaws within USSR. And I would just be sitting there, like, my grandma's friend would come over and start talking about how, oh, Stalin this, Stalin that. And I'm like, Stalin, she was Ukrainian. Stalin literally killed millions and millions of your people. How are you not seeing this? And I guess people just like block it out sometimes because, I don't know, pride of belonging or whatever you want to call that.
Or,
But
yeah. I mean, also it's fear. I mean, wasn't it bad at one point to criticize the government, and that could actually land you in some trouble?
it is right now actually. There's a lot going on in Russia. I think most people are saying there's another civil war coming, because actually exactly because of that, because one half of the population refuses to open their eyes, and the other half is connected largely through the internet, and thanks to the internet, to the rest of the world, and that other half sees what other countries have as standards set up. And then you look at Russia, and you're actually legally not allowed to criticize the president. And you go, hold on, that sounds like something I've seen it before, like something like Stalin or Hitler or Mao. That sounds about right. And I'm glad I got to go outside of Russia and see how other systems work. That's very useful. But
It sounds like what we need is people traveling more and living in other countries. And
I do. Yes. Oh, wait, I don't know what I just said I do. I was trying to translate from Russian. I do think that is what we need, and just connections in general. And like back to the point of what you were saying, like 500 years in the future. I feel like the more connected we are and the more educated we are in general on not just some facts, but also on the perspectives of other people, the more compassion we obviously have for each other. And I don't know. I just feel like education in general is the key to literally everything. Name a single problem, I would say you probably can fix it by education, one kind or another. Whether it's any kind of discrimination, whether it's even things like our healthcare, I feel like it could fit in. But in general, I feel like what is it called? There's the microchip that they're developing. I believe Elon Musk. I believe
Oh,
they're developing.
your Neuralink, where it like
Yes,
connects with your brain.
Neuralink. Yes. And everyone's saying how eventually that's gonna transform into, obviously connecting your own mind to like internet or whatever else.
Right.
And I think of it as, well, that means we also will be more connected to other people. So what if at any given point in time you could feel or see what a 5-year-old starving child, someone on the other side of the world, is feeling or seeing?
Mm.
Maybe that would open people's eyes a little bit more. Because out of sight, out of mind, that's true so much of the time. I mean, if you're seeing a child drowning in front of you, you're probably going to jump into the pool and save them. But there are thousands and thousands of them that are dying every single day, but because we don't see, because we don't hear about it, we obviously are not going to do anything about it either. So.
Well, I mean, even like the migration crisis we have here in Texas with people
Absolutely.
from Honduras coming here and being held in facilities, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's like happening right here, but
Still
like,
don't see it.
don't see it.
Yes. My Colombian friend, she was posting a lot of stuff on her story about what's going on in Colombia right now. And a lot of it did not even get media coverage. Even within Colombia, even within the rest of Latin America or the US, when in reality people were cut off internet, food access, clean water access. And again, how could you just like not report that? And like, yeah, obviously totalitarian government, but how could people be sitting here and maybe hearing a thing or two about it and not even worrying what they could do? I don't know. There's a lot of like debate on whether people are inherently good or bad, and the more I stay here, and I get the older I get, the less I believe into the inherently good. Just seeing the things around me.
Oh, what's just some examples?
I moved here and I realized that it was not just some crazy statistic, that it was a real possibility of somebody walking into my school and shooting
Wow.
me and my friends. And when I realized that was when my friend had a panic attack because she's actually a survivor of Columbine.
Wow.
And she moved here, and she never mentioned it until it happened. I believe the shooter ran away. Something triggered it. I don't remember. But point is, just realizing, having that so close, again, that connection, seeing it with my own eyes, that kind of clicked. And I was like, oh, that is real. That could happen.
I'm trying to remember when Columbine was. Like the
Yes.
late 1990s?
Oh my God. No. Yes, Columbine. I might be confusing the name. One of the really big shootings.
Okay.
But I believe there were two. The first one within the same school, and then within the same school again, the second one. And she was there for the second one. So.
Oh, I see.
So, we have somebody joining us. But things like that, things like, I don't even know, just day-to-day lack of compassion in general.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you good?
Am I good?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, what would be the test for yourself? Like,
I don't think there is a test. I don't think you can say that somebody's just good or bad. That's not a thing. We're just human. And I do think that we have like built-in morals that are not even connected to religion, and that's a talk for like a whole other time. But okay, we once had a conversation at 3 a.m. at a kitchen, somebody's house that I don't even know, and we had around 5 or 6 people, and we had a plush toy that we were passing around. That was a talking toy, because before that we were just already screaming at each other. We couldn't properly talk. And we had a conversation on ethics and morals, and we tried to deconstruct it. Where do they come from? Are they something that we learn from our parents? Are they something that religion instills into us? What is it? And I personally was arguing that morals in general is what we learned as a survival skill. We as social animals, we had to stay together, obviously. So what is going to keep you alive for longer? Obviously being nice to others. You don't want to do to others what you don't want done to yourself, obviously, but it goes deeper than that. I think that you helping another person who's not even related to you, just a random stranger, would help you in the long run to survive. So that is really the only reason we even have morals. And people try to argue like, oh, that sounds weird. But if you really think about it, I feel like it makes sense.
Right. You need somebody to jump in the pool to save you. And
yes,
they're
you
not
do.
They're not going to do that. They're like,
unless you have
what's
mutual
the
trust.
point?
Yes. I was watching this lecture the other time on behavioral biology. Really, really fun lecture. And that was actually brought up. The idea of mutual trust, and there was a lot in it. There was stuff about like the prisoner experiment. Excuse me, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's just,
is this the one where they like press a button to cause pain and
no, that's the other one. I think
okay.
it's not the separate one. No, it was so the scenario is that you and your accomplice get caught.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, if you rat out your the prisoner's dilemma.
Yes,
Yeah.
pretty much. So point was that they put a bunch of scientists together, they put a bunch of computers together, and they were like, okay, what is the optimal strategy? And they replayed it at like hundreds and hundreds of times, and they found what the optimal strategy was. And they just kept adding more and more variables to say, okay, but what if this happened? What if that happened? And overall, like, I'm not going to go more into detail on that, but the entire idea was that you have to have that trust in general in the other person. And not only because, oh, that's a good thing to do or that's a decent thing for a human being. No, that is the optimal strategy for survival. To trust other people until they betray you and then maybe build that trust up again. So I feel like that ties back into the morals, because why else would we even have them? Animals don't really have morals. They have instincts. Assuming that they don't have the same consciousness as we do, which they probably don't. I feel like they only act on instinct, i.e. whatever helps you survive. So. I know it's a little controversial.
My coworker at work, she says, she asked me, would you rather everybody you know that dies or everybody you don't know dies? Like if you had to choose between those two.
Okay, well, on one hand, I don't know a lot of pedophiles and killers. So, if they die, that would feel nice. But I'm gonna say everyone that I do know, just because that's less people. And I'm gonna be a utilitarian in this and say the less people get harmed, the better.
See, that's just the opposite of your morals thing. How's, like, because if you think about it, the people that are going to help you are the people that know you. Strangers aren't there for you. And there's...
Well, to play devil's advocate, because I hate when people say that, but I can meet new people.
I mean, I'm a little afraid of knowing you at this point. I mean, what if you get that choice?
Guys.
What if you get that choice?
Well, it's not
and
that
it's like, whoa.
I don't do that. I would not do it because I would like to see the people I know and love dying, but I would do that thinking that there are billions of people that would survive because of that. But I don't even know how many people. A couple hundred? No, probably 1,000 or so. Like, no.
Oh. So my answer to the question is, I would prefer everybody I don't know dies.
Really?
And because there should be a benefit to knowing me, and what better benefit than survival?
Survival,
Yeah.
I guess. It makes sense. But then
And I'm trying to get to know more of y'all, so try to make all of y'all safe. Anyway.
Right. I mean, but then everyone dies.
No, no.
If you know everyone,
But it'd be people I don't know.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Everybody I know. I mean, that's if you're choosing. Then we're in trouble.
I don't know. What do you define as knowing someone? Just like met them?
That's
Or
a
you're
that's an
close
entire.
to?
Maybe I don't know anybody. That'd be a really
Right,
lonely
do you
world.
know you?
I don't
and
even
then
know
you
myself.
save the entire universe. Look at that, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, 500 years. Let's think about physically where humans are.
What they
We
look like.
are strictly like an earthbound land species now. We live on land pretty much.
Boring.
Do you think we would have like developed like artificial islands in the Pacific underneath the sea? Do we have big floating cities? Do we have cities under the ground that are like massive? Like what have we done?
Trying to think. Okay, so I'm gonna have to 500 years.
Can you imagine if all of our houses and neighborhoods were under the ground? This is just virgin forest,
Right.
and you could come up and you got like nature, and we're like, you have as much land as you need.
Yeah,
You're just not,
underground.
yeah, you're just not bugging the
Yeah.
you know, the animals,
That
or
would
you
be
know, big
crazy.
floating cities up in the sky with like huge balloons, and you're just like wafting
That
over
would-
the globe,
Yeah. That all of that sounds incredible. And
and then a bird.
and a bird.
Whee!
That reminds me of multiple different films, actually. The
Mm.
second one reminded me of, what is it called? The Flying Castle of Laputa, I think that's the name of it.
Mm.
It's a Studio Ghibli movie, animated. And it was pretty much that, saying that I think at one point people lived in the skies, and I'm pretty sure people like theorize that in that universe, we destroyed the land, we destroyed all of our earth, and there was nowhere else to live, so we had to build artificially, you know, on top of it because there were some chemicals or something. But point is, I feel like we really have to take into account the fact that climate change obviously is happening, but in 500 years, I don't think I know enough about the climate patterns to say what it would look like in 500 years. But just going off like rising sea levels and things like that, a lot more land would be underwater, so I guess we'd like move a little more inland. But even further than that, like 500 years, man. I mean, we'd probably go to Mars by that point, obviously.
Mhm.
Start colonizing.
Right?
Right, but I feel like one of the most efficient ways for humans in general to live is either in highly populated but small areas and the rest is just land, or very dispersed in small communities. And this is just me collecting multiple different things that I've heard of before. I feel like obviously we're not gonna go back to like small villages just because of how civilization works. So probably very large cities and probably building upwards. Just like The Fifth Element, I don't know if you've seen them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the upwards thing. Again, I don't know about the flying cars. That doesn't seem too realistic, but
Only because we don't have them yet, and we should have.
not really. It's just like it just doesn't seem very efficient to me. Like you could just take an elevator maybe or not. I don't know. I feel oh this is a big one. I feel like there's going to be a lot more public transportation. The more developed a country is with their technology, the more developed their public transportation. I've noticed that. And I think it's really interesting because if you think about it, I feel like most of technology and most of innovation is about efficiency, whether we're talking about like our little Roomba vacuum cleaners to save time, if we're talking about dishwasher to save water and time, or if we're talking about public transportation. So both energy and time for everyone as well.
Well, let's talk about saving time. Do you do laundry?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you
Hope
have
so.
a washer and a dryer?
Yes.
Okay. When you take your clothes out of the washer, how much decision making do you do with what to do with those clothes?
None really.
None. Where do you put them?
In the dryer,
Yeah.
unless it's like cashmere or something.
Okay, sure.
Yes, so like a little bit of decision making.
Don't you think it's weird that we are still taking clothes from the washer to the dryer? Like
And that it's not within the same thing.
like it's and that we're folding clothes. I mean, like, why isn't that whole process like
Like
completely
automized.
automated? Like, It goes. You take your clothes off in the shower.
Mhm.
You put it in a dirty hamper. It gets clean, and then you have like the clothes you're gonna wear just like right there by that. I mean, why isn't it like that?
Because not yet, I think, is the answer. It probably will be there eventually. And okay.
But why do you think that? Like
Why?
it hasn't. Yeah, it hasn't gotten there yet. Like what's gonna change?
Because we always want to get more efficient with everything that we do. We want to
Hmm.
save time because time is money. We want to keep going with that. And if you think about it, I mean, we didn't have, little vacuum cleaners. We didn't have Alexa. We didn't have even a stove at one point. So we just keep getting more advanced. And if we can do it, we will. And if we can't afford it, people at the top will, and eventually it will boil down to, pretty much everyone. So, this is a whole other topic. But people refer to something called time poverty. And I don't know if anyone's talked about this.
And tell me about it.
All right, so the entire idea, again, of like efficiency.
There's this
Yes.
a sci-fi movie
Yes.
where the currency is time, and you have like this little.
I've seen it.
You've seen
I've
that?
seen that.
So it's time poverty. That's like real.
Yes, it is. But if you think about it, again, if we're talking about laundry, okay, my grandma was one of 8 kids. And she was the eldest one. So she had to do laundry for herself, 7 other kids, and 2 parents.
Mm.
What do you think she spent her days doing? Pretty much that.
Sure.
She barely graduated from high school because she just had to do housework, right? But in our day, that would not even be a problem. Like, she could probably even go to college if she had a washer and a dryer. So if we take that concept and expand it to everything that we do, in reality, the poorer you are, the less time you have on your hands,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and the more troubles you have. I mean,
Yes.
you're more likely to be robbed.
Mm.
You're going to find it harder to get a loan.
Mhm.
You're going to have fewer stores around you. They're going to offer less. The prices are going to be higher.
The world is against you, the system is against
Yeah.
you. But where I was going with that, if you have more time, you have more time for development, you have more time to invest it into something, whether that's a business or, furthering your career, furthering your education, which then would further your career. So essentially, if you're poor, that's just another thing that's going to keep you poor.
Sure.
And if you're rich, obviously.
Well, I know. I feel it at work. There's like so much that can be automated, but
Yeah.
it takes time to automate it. And there's so much work to do. So like that balance, right? Is like, do you keep up on the work and never automate anything? You keep getting further behind, or do you spend all your time automating? You get nothing done. You get fired.
Maybe,
Got to find a balance.
yeah, you do need to find the balance. Or maybe like automated in like spurs of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like a lot at a time.
Yeah, a little targeted.
Because okay, another thing that I was gonna bring up. So I don't know how true this is, but I heard somebody say that our technology just keeps developing faster and faster from year to year. So starting with the 90s, let's say, and when the computers were just like becoming, a normalized thing, and up until today, new iPhones keep getting released more often. Things
But
like
fundamentally, what's different
they're
about
not the
them?
same. Yeah, they're the same most of the time. But you know what I mean. In general, like technology keeps getting faster and faster, and I think that's because we just built on what we have already, and that probably just keeps getting larger, so we have more directions to go into, something like that.
Mm.
So I don't know if maybe one day we would just like not keep up with the new inventions anymore, but also we are pretty limited as humans. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just throwing like ideas around. But
Have you ever heard of a concept called intentional communities?
no, what is that?
So it's basically, communities of people
Mm-hmm.
who not only are going to live next to each other like we are living next to, but they actually have some type of community among them, and they are
Oh.
all sorts of different ranges. You have like religious intentional communities,
Okay.
ecological intentional communities,
Like
people who are
eco-farms.
like which one?
Eco-farms?
Eco farms. That's an example. They're just basically people that, in addition to like actually taking up space, you're
Actually
there for each
being-
other. Yeah.
I heard something similar, and I think you could probably put that into this category. I watched this TED Talk, and it was this woman talking about pretty much that. The fact that we are social beings, and we do, like, our brain needs to be watching, I think around 100 people but needs to be closely watching around 20. So at all times, you should be thinking, oh, like that person's doing this, that person's doing that. That's why we like gossip. That's why we like things like TV shows, because we don't get as many people close to us in our lives anymore. And things like that she was talking about was creating those communities, and they look like apartment complexes, but much smaller. So let's say a house, and you have 6 families on one side and 6 families on the other side. And I think they said something like 3 floors, something like that. So 2 per floor. Whatever. Point is, they all have their own space. They all have their own apartments. But then they also have a common hall and a common kitchen. And so the rule was, for the particular house that she was talking about, is that I believe 3 times a week they were having communal dinners, and you have to help out or cook or buy like food for at least one of them, I think. Something like that. Point is, everyone was participating, and I think you have to turn up at least for one of these dinners. So essentially, you stay engaged within your tiny little community. Your kids also stay engaged, and clinically, that was like shown to reduce levels of anxiety, levels of stress, depression, everything. And it makes sense, because that is what our brains are meant to do. So when you don't have that, especially in the modern world, like, I feel like people fall behind. So
I wonder what the size of like a monkey herd is, or whatever, like
monkey herd.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like maybe 20 or so.
Yeah.
Depends on the species.
Depends on the species.
I don't know.
Do you know what time it is? I gotta watch out for the 7:30.
Yeah.
7:16.
7:16.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got a little bit of time.
So, where do you think humanity is in terms of space? In terms of 500 years, are we living throughout the solar system, creating like these orbital facilities that are completely human-made? Where have we got?
This is hard to tell, because again, I feel like technology is accelerating in its advancement. I feel like we definitely would be within the solar system, probably trying to go into galactic, but not quite there, because there are technical things that we are still so far away from solving. Like, how do you travel fast enough to get places? How do you refuel? And I know it is possible to solve, but I feel like it would take a while. Like, for example, if you wanted to go to the other side of the galaxy, we need to travel probably as fast as the speed of light.
It would still take you hundreds of years to get there.
It would still take you so long.
Yeah.
So we need to think of something like fast, or it's not happening. So probably solar system. I want to say maybe like spaceships ish, traveling again within the solar system, or orbiting around Earth or any other planet. So orbiting, but essentially like an artificial Sputnik. What do you call it?
A satellite?
Yeah, like a satellite, but
hotel, space station.
What is
capsule?
moon? What is moon to Earth?
Satellite.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that the word?
Yeah.
English sucks. Sorry. Okay.
We
So
have artificial satellites and then natural satellites.
Yes, artificial satellites. So just like orbiting around one of the. Sorry.
No, it's understandable.
Orbiting around the planets, just for some extra space and like something close enough so you can refuel if you need to, but also self-sufficient. I think self-sufficiency and like sustainability in general is going to be a really big factor. And I don't mean sustainability as like, oh, let's like protect the nature. I mean like self-sustained.
Right,
So.
where your waste is your supply.
Yes, everything goes back into the circle, as it does on any. Well, I can't say that because I don't know of any other planets with life, obviously. But any ecosystem, it has to be self-contained.
I mean, like water, for example. I mean, literally, we have plenty of water. What we don't have is plenty of clean water. And what you need to do to clean water is find an efficient way to filter it.
Yes.
And if you could do that, then you could have continuous flow sinks that have like 20 gallons that's just constantly being cleaned and flowing. You could have continuous flow showers. You can take them as long as you want. It's the same water. and it's clean.
Yeah, I mean there are projects like that on smaller scale. Like there are, I think they do that in some small homes, and they try to stay also like self-sustained, so like solar and wind power. But they also do recycle the water, so they just have filters within the house, and it just keeps reusing the same water for everything. And I feel like we could get to that point actually eventually, that everyone just has their own little space, and they keep recycling the same energy. Well, that's impossible. Or they keep recycling the same water, and we're actually even more dispersed than connected. I see so many different futures for us, and I keep going back and forth between them all. But it's probably going to be a combination of all of them.
And maybe one future would be boring. We need to try them all
I think
out.
they're all going to be boring. Somebody told me we live in a dystopia, but the boring kind, if you really look at it. So, like, things like coronavirus, like, tell me this is not a dystopian novel. It is. Things like tyrannies, it's just the reality of it is just not that fun, really. And I feel like eventually we're going to be so used to it as well that we're going to just forget that this is crazy. Like right now we're forgetting how ridiculous it is that we have little tiny mirrors in our hands that we have no idea how they work. Most of us don't. And still I think there was a drawing from like late 1800s or like beginning of 1900s, and they were like, oh, what do you think the world is going to look like in 2020, something like that. And a lot of these things actually came true. Most of the things, what you were saying, only because we don't have it yet doesn't mean we're not going to. So we live in the future, and we just forget about it. And I feel like 500 years from now, we're also going to be living in the future, and it will just be reality to us. So, yeah. I don't know what else to say about that.
Well, did you know
Did I know what?
that NASA was planning to send people back to the moon in 2024?
Yes, I heard that last time I was here.
But you didn't know about it before then?
I didn't actually. I
Okay.
didn't. I heard about like Mars missions and whatever because my sister is obsessed with that, but I never heard.
You have a sister.
I do have a sister.
She's here.
She is. She's a year younger. She's actually having prom this Saturday. I'm so excited for her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but she wants to become an aerospace engineering, and she
Oh,
wants
wow.
to work for NASA
I
or
definitely have
SpaceX.
to interview her at some point, huh?
Yeah, probably. She really wants to go to Mars and colonize it. And
She should join the North Houston Space Society.
She probably should. I
Yeah.
don't even know what that is, but it sounds
Well,
like she should.
It's a group
Yeah.
of people that we meet once a month. We invite guest speakers,
Oh.
usually here at the Barbara Bush Library. And we went on a tour of NanoRacks, which is like this company that sends experiments to the International Space Station. And we're planning to go on other tours and do other neat stuff.
That's so fun.
So it could be kind of...
I'll tell her.
neat.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely tell her. Yeah. But okay, you were saying they send people.
Yeah, so this would be the first time since 1972. What do you think?
I mean, it's great. I don't know what are they going to be doing on Moon? Why are
Yeah.
they sending people again?
Well, I mean, if you think the future is humanity and the rest of the solar system, yeah, obviously the moon would be a good next step, right?
But we already did that. We already did the Moon. Why
But-
are we going back?
Yeah,
Let's
but
go to
we
Mars.
we didn't really. First of all, you know, astronauts on like the International Space Station orbit,
Yeah.
they actually do very little in terms of maintaining themselves. Most of, like, they have a problem. They radio down here to Earth. They get a whole bunch of engineers and technicians figuring stuff out, and they radio up what they need to do to fix it.
Okay.
Now, as you move farther and farther away from Earth, and you actually get
It's
on the other side,
harder.
now you have to be more independent, and you're going to have
Self-sufficient.
more self-sufficient, all this other stuff. So the moon provides a place for us to kind of become a little bit more self-sufficient, but still have the safety. Plus, the moon in itself is a really interesting place. Like, over millions of years, meteors have been hitting the Earth. But most of those meteors burn up in the atmosphere. The ones that don't land in the ocean, the ones that hit the ground over decades or hundreds of years, all traces of them have been gone. Well, the moon's been traveling through the same volume of space and has like a record of all these impacts. So
That's pretty interesting.
there could be like a whole flurry of material that's like on a 10,000-year orbit that if only we knew about.
That's
You
true.
know, we could find out about it
That'd be
on the
very
moon.
cool.
Plus a lot of resources, like there's water, ice in the poles of the moon. Like the moon has a 1-degree tilt, has no atmosphere, and you have like these craters with like permanently shadowed.
I have a question for you, actually.
Okay.
So I know this is interviewing me, but I think we should
Sure.
go other way around for now.
Absolutely. Fair game.
So, I heard about something called the Great Barrier or the Great Filter.
Ah, yes. This is the Fermi paradox, and you know why we haven't.
Well, we haven't found life.
Find life.
And
like,
which one is going to be worse?
Yeah.
Right? So, in your opinion, which one is it? Which one would you say is the worst case scenario? If we are, you know, ahead of the barrier, or like if we're still behind? What do you think?
There's this Chinese. Well, we haven't crossed the Great Barrier.
We haven't?
Oh no, we're still on one planet.
How do you? Oh, I think we're talking about two different barriers.
Oh,
Are we?
I don't know. There could be many barriers, but
Okay.
I don't think we've crossed over.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, the one I'm referring to is okay, so it's kind of odd that we haven't found any other life
Sure.
in the universe, right?
Yeah.
So people are thinking, well, why is it? Either life is so unique that Earth literally is the one place where it has developed,
Hmm.
or it's developed before but we haven't found it
Yes.
because they all got destroyed. So if like, yes, if in the second scenario, if life does exist in other places but it gets destroyed, at what point does it get destroyed? Have we already crossed that point and we're just very lucky, or is it still ahead of us?
Yeah.
So if maybe it's something like we get too clever and we develop too much technology and we kill each other with that technology, like
Sure.
nuclear power.
Or
Then
even
it's ahead.
worse, some type of process that just consumes all the resources and transforms it into something that we can't use.
Yes.
Like plastic.
Exactly, right? Or is it behind us? Is it something as simple as forming, I don't know, maybe getting out of water, or maybe it's creating very complex brains. Something like that. So people are saying that if we do find life, that's a bad sign for us, because it probably means that it's still ahead of us and we're probably going to die out as a species. But if we don't find life, that means that we probably already crossed it. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure I understand the significance of finding or not finding.
I'll send you a video that explains it better than I can in 5 minutes. Yeah, definitely. Point is that if we do find life, at least not even philosophically, in theory, it means that our species are gonna get extinct pretty soon. That's it. So I don't know. I wish I could explain it better in a shorter period.
I hope we don't go extinct. That would be sad.
I mean, we will eventually, but like at one point. Or do you think we won't?
I don't think we have to. I don't think that
We don't have to.
we don't have to.
But we probably will. I think.
I think only if we decide not, if we don't do what it takes to survive, right? I guess.
I feel like there are so many things that could go possibly wrong.
Yeah.
And
Well, they can't go wrong everywhere at once, which is the important thing to kind of spread out.
that's true. But if you just think about it, like, what could go wrong? We could have a massive war. We could have, we're probably gonna run out of a lot of our resources fairly soon. And if we haven't moved on to something else, if we haven't found, not even new resources, if we haven't found a way to stay sustainable, again, within our system, and not rely on these resources right now. So let's say, for example, we slowly move towards using only clean energy. If we don't, at one point, we're just going to run out. And
7:30.
Oh, is
7:30.
it? Oh, I
we
gotta go.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Anyways, point is,
Well,
we
thank
have
you
to
so
be
much.
self-sustained. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.